Hi, and welcome to the show. Subscribe at kevinmd.com/podcast. Today, we welcome back David Cundiff, physician and health reform advocate. Today's Kevin MD article is Ecovillages and Organic Agriculture, a Scenario for Global Climate Restoration. David, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
All right. So what prompted you to write this article about ecovillages and organic agriculture on Kevin MD?
Okay, well, I have 6 grandchildren. They range in age from 3 to 12. And for the last several years, 5 or 6 years, I've been concerned about them and researching climate change. I went to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They're an agency of the UN, and they're tasked with coming up with all the dreary data about what's happening to our climate, biodiversity. I think they may also look at global pollution and the polycrises that go along with life now and that we're trying to change, but we haven't really made a dent in the rise of greenhouse gases. So in this Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change document, I found 5 scenarios. The current scenario is human extinction by the end of the century. And the best case scenario is called climate smart agriculture. So I looked into exactly what that is. It doesn't have a legal definition, but and in fact, it includes or can include chemical fertilizers, glyphosate, Roundup, the notorious herbicide, GMO seeds, fungicides. And so I was astounded that they didn't model global organic agriculture, which would, to me, be the best case scenario. So I modeled it. And my article appeared in the journal Curious in 2023. It's titled Connecting Climate Change Mitigation to Global Land Regeneration, Doubling Worldwide Livestock, and Reduction of Early Deaths from Non-Communicable Diseases. So that this analysis that I had published showed that switching from our current chemical agriculture, which is over 90% of the world's agriculture, uses these chemicals and pesticides. So switching from them to organic would be going from our current situation of putting about 12 gigatons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere from agriculture, the agriculture that depletes the soil, as well as puts all this carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, goes from that to decreasing a net withdrawal of carbon dioxide of 24 gigatons a year. So this totals a difference of 35 gigatons a year of greenhouse gases coming out of the atmosphere and into the soil. So this led me to see, well, how would we be able to actually move toward this better scenario? That, just for a reference, the amount of gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalent that humans put into the atmosphere each year is about 57. So if you take away 35, you're reducing the human-caused greenhouse gases by more than half. And the additional benefit is that we don't eat food that's made from all these chemicals, glyphosate and pesticides and seeds. So that's what I modeled, and then to look, how are we going to be able to do that with the agriculture it would be a lot more work to have global organic agriculture, but if that's what we need to survive.
You suggested that switching to bio-intensive organic farming can sequester nearly 98% of projected greenhouse gas emissions. Is that number correct?
That's right. That's right. That was even before I published that preprint, only with organic. Now, biointensive takes it further. Organic regenerative, you could say, is now used a lot. It's kind of on top of organic. Organic is just what you're not doing.
Hmm.
You're not putting chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and so on. Regenerative is to have cover crops, to rotate the crops, to not till the soil, which releases a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and several other things beyond organic. Now, biointensive agriculture, I first found out about when I spent about 2.5 months at the farm in Tennessee, which is one of the original eco villages dating back from the 70s. And I had wanted to actually retire there because I liked what they did so much ecologically and otherwise. And I learned to do biointensive agriculture. It's promoted by John Jevons, who's in Willits, California. He's done much more work in the developing world than he has been able to in the United
Hmm.
States. He's taught biointensive agriculture in 150 or more than that countries in the world. So the difference, biointensive agriculture uses no fossil fuels. It's hand tools, no tractors or any of that heavy equipment that compacts the soil when it goes over the soil. It's not good for the soil. So it uses hand tools. The the garden beds are double dug, which means that you get a broad fork of about 5 feet with about five prongs in between. And it's very hard work. I was sweating
Hmm.
heavily.
So, if bio-intensive organic agriculture decreases emission, why did the IPCC fail to model a global transition to exclusively organic agriculture?
Yeah, I tried to get that from them. I was in correspondence with one of their, leading scientists who came from New Zealand. And I couldn't get a straight answer of why they didn't model global organic agriculture. Maybe we can find out now if somebody respond from there tells us. I hope this gets to the IPCC so that they come up with a response.
So you talk about the grow biointensive method previously in terms of how that can reduce emissions. You also propose replacing cattle ranch evictions with pilot eco villages, right? So what exactly is an eco village and what would that look like when scaled up?
Okay, well, the Eco Village, well, I was looking for a way to implement what's needed. I first found out what's needed is the organic agriculture, and then, how to start that. And we need a lot of people in those eco villages. So I modeled having about 1,000 people in each eco village. And those eco villages would do regenerative energy.
Mhm.
So solar and maybe wind and hydro and water energy and any other regenerative energy. And they'd grow food biointensively, organically, regeneratively, for themselves and for the neighboring communities. And when I modeled doing that with half of the human population, 4 billion people, in these eco-villages, which would be wonderful places to live, by the way. In fact, I wanted to live in one, and I will if I get an opportunity. So that then that would drop the amount of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere a year 98%. I mean, you get half the people into eco-villages that aren't using cars or other fossil fuels. Getting down to, adding biointensive, you can actually draw a net amount of greenhouse gases out of the atmosphere and into the soil per year.
Are there any parts of the country or the world for that matter that has a scaled up vision of what you talk about, a collective of eco villages? Any places where we can see that in action?
There's an eco village network globally, started, I believe, in the 80s, and it's still going, adding eco villages. However, they're not to the size that we need to scale it up to actually reverse climate change. I've seen a number, maybe 20,000 of them. I lived in the farm in Tennessee, one of the first, and it was great at the beginning. It was a commune, and they grew their own food. They built their own homes and so on. Now the eco villages have many fewer people in them, and it needs to scale up more than ever. It needs to be a new scale so that 1,000 people in an eco village, you can really have a community that is a wonderful place for young climate scientists or activists to thrive and to take care of other societal problems, like bring in the homeless and formerly incarcerated and maybe major mental illness, and put them all to work, because there's a lot of work to do, biointensive agriculture, and that's a good way to reverse our current epidemic in obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease. All the chronic diseases would benefit from hard physical labor on a regular basis. That's the way humans evolved. They didn't evolve sitting inside in screens like we're doing now, although, that isn't all we do. But, we've got very dire projections from the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation about where humanity is going in physical wellness. We need to move to metabolic health, or increase metabolic health, and that's mainly diet and exercise. And what I'm modeling would be good for both.
We're talking to David Cundiff, physician and health reform advocate. Today's Kevin MD article is Ecovillages and Organic Agriculture, a Scenario for Global Climate Restoration. David, let's end as always with take-home messages they want to leave with the Kevin MD audience.
Okay, well, there's hope. There's hope for humanity, but it will take some major changes. I would like to see there's 17,000 acres of National Park Service land in West Marin. I live in Marin County. And the Nature Conservancy has bought that land, or is in the process. It's not a done deal. But they're getting that land on the understanding that animals, in their production of methane, that's bad for the climate. Well, it's not. My article showed that, and the modeling shows that. And so I'd like to see Robert F. Kennedy Jr. stop the takeover of this land by the Nature Conservancy and make model eco villages there. 3 Ecovillages, 17,000 acres, and have a demonstration of how you can model reversing climate change. And that can be copied by eco-villages all over the world.
David, thank you so much for sharing your perspective and insight. Thanks again for coming back on the show.